Alrighty, so hi and welcome to Soul Spa, another day of just nurturing your soul and connecting to your joy. Today we have Susan Miller from Lighted Path Coaching, and she specializes in really teaching people how to take a healing path using creative arts and intuitive painting. She is a professional life coach, a certified creativity coach. She has a background in psychotherapy, expressive arts therapies, and she really just helps people ignite their light, their path through their creative process. She also works with budding entrepreneurs and helps them develop their own businesses. She has an annual retreat in the North Carolina mountains, which I'm very attracted to, and I'm sure it's on your website somewhere. And today she's going to talk to us about how art can heal us. Even if you're not an artist, it's not about being a gallery artist. And she's going to take us through a collage process that is healing and that connects us with our souls. So they need to have for this some papers, some paint, some glue, magazine. What else would you say, Susan?
Scissors, gel pens, markers. I'm going to show all that right off at the bat. Would you
Okay.
like me to start up on
Sure,
that?
let's just give them a little quick preview of what
Okay.
they may have to have with them.
So this is just kind of a little kit that I carry around with me with markers and glue and a journal in here. And the journal papers, typically in these journals, are nice and thick like this. You can see sort of Bristol board, but you don't have to do that. You can actually have something as simple as one that has ruled paper on it. It doesn't matter. You can even get these watercolor papers where they're just small pieces of paper. But for the sake of this particular little mini workshop, I think just having some white paper of any type is fine. And I'd love for you to just make sure you have that together, some gel pens or some markers. Good old markers can come in handy. And I'll show you some other tips and tools because some of you might not have these things, but I can go through that as I go along. And that's how you get started.
Great. So now they have their materials, and we're going to talk to them first about how art can heal. And this isn't about creating gallery works of art. This is giving your soul a creative place to play, to express, to explore. So, Susan, this is one of my favorite topics. So tell us a little bit about maybe the way art has healed you on your own journey, why that became an important part of your own process.
Well, it's hard to even go back that far, but I remember, having a journal in my hand or paper in my hand and a crayon since I was very little. I had a mother who was an artist, and she gave me coloring books, but she gave me white paper. And so I began to create designs and things. And so I thought of art as my friend. But just to kind of bring that to the front here with any of you, creativity really is our friend. And I think that is a healing place within my soul that I reach in when I'm feeling like I need to connect with who I am and connect with my intuition, connect with God, Spirit, to really hear and understand and make sense of the world around me, because it gets so crazy sometimes, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So one of the things that I love to do is to do this process called spirit collage. And it's funny because the idea came from looking at doing vision boarding. And I think vision boarding is something some of us know about. This is my vision board for this year that I created in a little mini retreat with some friends. And just used a just flat piece of canvas and put on it lots of little magazine pictures and words, and embellished it with different kind of embellishments. As you can see, there's some stickers there and there's some stamping. So I like to take this idea and use it on a regular basis for myself and for my clients, to encourage them to begin that process. And one of the coolest little things I did recently was through a friend of mine's little creative workshop. But it got me really into making small collages in a little book,
Yeah.
and beginning to
Oh, I love
take
that.
magazine pictures and stamps and little embellishments
I
that you
love
can
that.
see there. These are just different ones, and I would take just a few uh, pictures from a magazine, which I'll show you in a minute, kind of what I'm talking about. And I would go and I would just make a really cool background, really simply, and then begin to add to it these words, these meanings, stamps. And sometimes I would do it so quickly that I really didn't have anything in mind. And then I
You
would,
just did it spontaneously, just
right,
whatever
right,
images you felt drawn to. And I love this idea because it's much more accessible than a big poster board. It's just a
exactly.
small, like you have the watercolor postcards. Are those the watercolor postcards?
No, but I have some of those. No,
It's
but
the
they're
so-
you could do that in this
Yeah,
book, and
yeah,
this is so easy to go and purchase at an art store,
right.
and the paper is thick, and you can actually journal on the back, or you can actually make another design on the
I
back
love
of
that.
it.
I love
So,
that.
so just to kind of give you an idea of some backgrounds for
Mm-hmm.
this. Here's another one that I did that was really fun on a bigger piece,
Mm-hmm.
and I was doing a grief workshop. It was called Creativity, The Way to Healing Grief. And
Mm-hmm.
so we would take different pieces. This is, you can see, as a Christmas card. And I had lost my sister and my mother. And I really didn't know that that's what would come out of this.
Yeah.
But it was around Christmas time, and I began to design a background and put the card on there in some places. And then my sister and my mother appeared in a stamp. Those are stamps that you see.
Mm.
And then the words came. But it wasn't something I did. This one was done a little bit more deeply, a little bit more time consuming, and it doesn't have to be that way. And so the cool thing, I think, is to see different examples in different sizes. And I'm going to show you sort of the step to take.
Yeah. And I like what you're saying too. When they're kind of spontaneous like that,
Yes.
they often end up expressing the subconscious and what's going on, like a spontaneous doodle, that
Exactly.
you just go
Yeah.
to.
And so you have these all this whole thing came from magazines. There's no colored background. It looks like it, but it's just a, and there's
Right.
Georgia O'Keeffe, who's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
And these happened rather quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why they happened quickly is what you can do also keeps it simple. And remember, this does not have to be a work of art. This
Mm-hmm.
is your journey.
Yeah.
So to keep it really simple, you just grab a magazine of any type and open up, and you might take a word up here, perfectly suited, might be something that you clip and flip and clip,
Mm-hmm.
and you just flip and clip through this whole magazine, pulling out different things. This heart would be a really cool thing to have.
Mm-hmm.
I actually love pictures of women
Mm-hmm.
like this. I've pulled out a couple of, and these can go in a really big one, and parts of them you can cut off part
Yeah.
of them.
Yeah.
You could have something like that, and as you go through, and I'll show you the steps in a minute, but this is one that I actually made very quickly this morning. And I had all of the things cut out, and oftentimes we'll take a little, uh, uh, I can't think of what it's called all of a sudden. Uh, anyway, an
It's
envelope.
a something. Don't worry. I forgot the word consistent
Yeah,
the other day, so.
and it has all these really cool things that I've cut out.
Yeah, so that they're
And-
ready-made and there
Yeah.
for you when you want them to
And,
be.
and so you just take something and you put it together, and you have these little words and pictures, and then you put them on your page that's already primed. So this one, this one is done. I did this morning, and I loved this. I cut this out a long time ago and loved her strength. I loved the way she looked. And then I was going through some old emails and found this poem that a friend had sent me, and I cut it out, and then the flowers, and then the words, and then the stamps. And little stamps that you can use if you want to. You certainly don't have to.
Mhm.
But what I loved about doing this was it didn't take me very long because the pictures were already cut out.
The picture, right? So that's a good idea. Like when you have free time, just to cut pictures. Where do you collect your magazines? I mean, are they all where do you find them?
Anything. And you can also use circulars that come in the mail. You can use cards that you get from people, and so it really doesn't have to be just magazines.
Yeah.
But the key is to get you started. You just throw a bunch of those clippings from anywhere, advertisements, whatever, in a big box. There you have your intuition. There you have things that already you've sort of intuitively pulled out, and it's incredibly relaxing to flip and clip.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
So,
yeah, and I know a lot of libraries now sell the National Geographics, and those are kind of fun to use too. But
well, the others are Oprah Magazine, and then Martha Stewart Living. You're good, but honestly, anything that it's amazing what you can even get out of an old digital computer magazine. It just is phenomenal how that can work out, and you try to keep things as simple as possible.
Yeah. And so so you're just following like whatever images you feel attracted to, whatever wants to go onto the page, you're not thinking too much about, and you're finding it talks back to you once you put it down. Now, I find just that expression itself can be really powerful for the soul. What do you find happens with that kind of expression that's spontaneous like that?
Are you referring to artistic expression or any kind? Because
kind of the creative, where you're just doing a spontaneous collage and you look back at it and you realize it's saying something. Like, what happens to that for people who may not have done it?
So what is really neat is that as you're looking through this, first of all, just to give you an example, I'm going to show you the step-by-step process in just a second, but when you actually put together your collage and it's there on the paper and you've done this, during that process you are actually accessing not only the right side of the brain, but also that creative place deep inside that goes deeper into the reflective piece than oftentimes when you're just out and about, or you're busy, or your mind is distracted. So if you go and express something, then you go back and you can journal about this, if you like to journal, or you can look at it and it could bring up something for you that for instance, like in this one, it was about mothering, and I have adult children, twins, and they have moved on in their life, and so the little poem is about. It's actually from a song, a hymn, and it's about letting go of your children, and it's just a prayer. And so to me, it was the flowers. I'm having a blooming ability to handle my adult children, and I'm getting stronger. She was a very strong-looking woman. It appealed to me, and yet she was very endearing to her child.
Yeah. The
bees for me are symbolic because they represent my parents, and it's a long story. But anyway, it's a beautiful. This did, like I said, didn't take long because I had the things right there in front of me, in picking these things out, then you begin to kind of get in touch with, okay, I'm really growing stronger as a mom. I'm growing stronger as a woman in my life as I go towards 60. I'm maybe able to I've let go of my children, and yet at the same time still feel connected to them. And so there's that process that you do. Or if you may even end up even having some other revelation that comes from that. This was one about memory collecting. I saw the footprints in the sand. I had kind of a beachy color, watercolor in the back that I put on there, the shoes. All this stuff was sort of in my pile, and I started pulling, and then I went back and sort of looked at it, and it spoke to me. And it'll speak to you differently, say, a year later or even a month later. So I say to keep these in a book, so that you have them, or keep them in a pile of cards. You might even put them in one of these mesh bags. I love having this. And they actually become kind of like your like you would have cards that you would get from oracle cards, things like that. You would end up being able to use these for your own, very own oracle cards that came from your spirit, the spirit of God or intuition in your soul. And I think that's why I encourage people to do this on a regular basis.
Yeah, and I think what's so nice about the creative journaling like this, like when you're writing, sometimes you stay stuck in your left brain. When you begin working with imagery, you begin accessing the subconscious and what's going on in deeper levels, and you can see growth and express feelings. And, so I think it's a beautiful, beautiful exercise. And I love how you're breaking it down. That's good.
And you know what I love the most is the way it sounds when you turn the pages.
I do too.
It makes these creakly noises.
Yeah, and the little pop-ups. I love that.
Yeah,
I love
and
that.
so these are things you'll have forever. But again, to keep it very simple, would you like me to?
Yes, let's go through the process. Let's just show them, for people who may be new to journaling, this is a great way to get in touch with your feelings, to express your creativity, and it's very easy and simple. So she's going to take us through it.
So as you can see, I just have a white page.
Okay.
And I have got a little piece of wax paper that I stuck behind it so that when I get ready to go to the next one, it won't get the ink on the other page. Okay. Very simple. And I'm going to take you've seen these little teeny things. They're distress ink stamp pads, or you can use something like this, maybe in a different color. These are like $1 at Michael's if you have a Michael's around. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to take the little square and let's see, turn it like this. And I'm not doing a whole lot more, but just going back and forth on the page. And, of course, I'd be doing this down on the page.
It's a little easier when it's on the desk.
But for the sake of our workshop today, here's a good little simple.
Yeah, simple to use. Yep.
And so I've prepared a couple other pages where you can see I've taken another color and put on top. And this is really not the only way that you can do these. You can do them with paints and brushes and just let them dry. Another option is to use watercolor. So you just get simple watercolor, spray water on this, and I'll be showing you more of these techniques in a little ebook that's one of your gifts for the Soul Spa Summit. But it gives it just a background, and so sometimes it's fun just to go through and do a bunch of backgrounds, and so you have them available for you.
Yeah. And it's nice what you're saying, like whenever you're stuck or you don't feel like sitting down and doing a page, you can do your backgrounds, you can collect your images, you can sit there and do that while you're watching TV or...
Oh, yeah, that's fun. And you could just go through and do the whole book, and then you've got your colors that inspire you too, right?
Yeah.
So, you may have a favorite color. So I may take... this is going to dry. It doesn't take long to dry, and that's when I would grab my little I put my notes over here. So I may take a little image, and I'm going to decide where I want to put it. I'm going to get the glue and the glue stick, which I had very handy just a minute ago.
Fell into the vortex.
As you can see, it's a very simple glue stick, nothing fancy about it whatsoever. And then all I'm doing is gluing the back of it, putting glue on it.
It'd be so much fun to do a travel journal like this when you're traveling and take one with you, because it's so simple. You just need your glue stick, your ink pads, your markers.
Yeah. Oh, very much so, yeah. So I'm just going to place them on there, and then I might find some other words. I actually had this one. It says, animals are such agreeable friends. They ask no questions. They pass no criticisms. So I would probably stick that right up here and so on. Now, a lot of times I'll leave space so that I might like to actually take a marker and journal on it. And I do have some of those that I've done back here in the book somewhere. But you can do it any way you want.
Just start doodling or decorating.
Yeah, I have a little doodling one. See where I've doodled a little bit here? Yep. So you can leave a whole lot more space and do that as well.
Right, and the wax paper keeps them from sticking. Yep. Yeah. And I like what you were saying, too. It's not about creating something beautiful. It's about playing and expressing and
Yeah.
letting the subconscious come up. So it's a great process. And that's your background in expressive arts coming
Yes.
through.
Well, and I think it's just the idea that when we create something from inside and we take the time to do it and not really even have to do do something fancy and big.
Yeah.
But take the time to put something together creatively, intuitively, you're really going to access a place of rest, a place of healing, sometimes a place of chaos, and that's okay too, because when you express that out on a journal page or a piece of paper in some way, form, or fashion, it will make a lot more sense. You will begin to understand your feelings about things. It just is a way. I mean, we've been doing this for thousands and thousands of years, right?
Yeah.
I mean, mankind has a creative self. If you are a gardener, you go out and you garden, and that's an expression of that deep inner healing place. It doesn't have to be a journal, but it could be that you write poems, or you might enjoy baking and making beautiful cupcakes, or maybe just baking bread because of the way it smells. All that is part of our creative soul, our inner healing. And so it's important to have that so that we can flow well in our life, and really helps, I think, with this spirit journaling, spirit collage, helps to get you in touch with the rhythms that you're and the shifts that you're going through in your life. And so, and it's simple as 10 minutes a day, or you can make it longer if you would like.
Yeah.
You can put on some essential oils, or you can have some time to, some music going in the background, or you can just sit outside and do it. It's just a really fun process.
Yeah. And I think it's nice too, like you were saying, to sit down and see what it's saying to you, because there's a lot of power in that.
Yes.
Not just doing it quickly and leaving it, but I know for me one time I did a doodle, and then I let it speak back to me, and it was just like tears came out. I felt great afterwards. It wasn't like a heavy sadness, but something needed to be released.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
That's the
I
kind
think
of magic.
that was what this was about for me. It was pretty awesome to do this experience myself, and to be able to go back in, and I could have done this in smaller pieces in a journal, but to go back in and look at those things and to really see the way that it kind of flowed on the paper, it gave me a wonderful message. And this is just like a piece of a whole sheet of paper, which you can actually pull out, like something like this. Would make a great background for the 5x7 page, and then I just added words to it. So, and I might take out my pen and journal a little bit in another book or something like that.
Beautiful.
But you really, really, it's a lot of fun and very simple. It's not complicated, and you can read your own readings from inside your heart. That's what I love.
I think it's a great exercise. I love it. And I want a tiny journal, because it is a great idea when you're in a rush, just, slap some paint down, put some imagery down, and just play a little bit. So I think that's beautiful. So
there are this size, so you can get these sizes, and you can even find these simple little booklets, booklets. And so you don't have to go too hard, too complicated.
Yeah.
But you can make it as creative and as deep and as expressive as you want.
Yeah.
And of course, there's many other methods of doing art journaling. This is just one that I find is especially fun.
Yeah. And I think one of the things I've loved, I'm hearing it from the movement artist on the summit, and it's been one thing I know with a lot of us expressive artists, it's that it should feel good from the inside and not just look good. So a lot of times we're programmed with art to create something pretty, and it's not about pretty. It's about what images attract you and what feels good and what feels right, and listening to that.
It's definitely not about perfectionism, but what's really cool is if you notice yourself getting that way, then you might want to do a spirit collage about that.
Yeah, yeah.
Or journal about that, because in the creative process, typically when we're feeling things as we create,
Yeah.
that is how we respond to life too.
Yeah.
So it's interesting how those things actually go together, and you can actually look at it and go, oh, I wonder how this relates to my life.
Yeah.
So that just the creative process in general.
It's powerful. It's amazing.
Yes, it is.
We're so thankful for it. And thankful for you coming on and sharing a really nice, simple, accessible journal technique. And I love what you were saying about collecting your images, doing your backgrounds, and just having a simple space where you check in and see what's going on. And so Susan has a free gift, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. There are more mini art journaling exercises in this free ebook, right? Actually, do you want to tell them a little bit about it before we sign up? Okay.
There's actually two gifts. One is an intention flag mini workshop that's a little more detailed about an art experience, but it's the wonderful method of setting intentions in your life, and it goes into some deeper type of work with setting values and looking at different things about that. And then the other ebook is it's an ebook that has different art journaling, intuitive art journaling techniques in it. So I call it intuitive soul journaling. And so it'll have this in there. It'll have some others. It'll also have some different techniques, maybe lists of supplies. Everything will be a little bit more detailed, and will give you some wonderful techniques that you can use on a regular basis that are simple and fun.
Simple and fun. That is it. And I just want to invite everybody. We have a Facebook group. So jump in, grab your free gift. It is in this email. You can access it. You can go check out Susan's website too. And you can share with us some of your creations in the Facebook group as you're doing some of your spirit collages and exploring these things. We'd love to see and know what's going on with you. If you feel like sharing. If you want to keep it private, then absolutely keep it private. So do you want to close? Do you have any final last message to share with everybody before we go out about the power of creativity and how valuable it can be in their life?
I would say that the most important thing about creativity is just to reach in and find out that you have it. Mm-hmm. And also to remember that it comes in different ways. Mm-hmm. And that you do not have to be an artist, as they call it, to be a creative person. You are a creative person regardless of what you do to express that. And I can guarantee that if you go deep and listen in and allow yourself to experience something creative and simply creative, which is a good way to put it, that you will begin to have some pretty good shifts in your life that you can relate to, that will push you forward in a path of beauty for your life, I believe. So keep it simple, keep it fresh, and go within and listen in to that wonderful intuitive soul of yours.
Yeah, definitely brings her soul alive, brings a lot more joy. So thank you so much, Susan. And go out and play, guys. Do some collage work, collect some imagery, and have a good time. All right. Take care.
Thank you, Bebe.
Bye, Susan.